The EU economy will see growth of just under 1% this year, according to the latest figures. The weak outlook comes at the same time as soaring inflation. DW reporter Arthur Sullivan joins us now from Berlin. Arthur, g'day. So what does this latest data tell us about the state of the EU economy?
So these figures really tell a story of sluggish growth and sapped confidence across the European economy. Now, this new data comes from the European Commission, that's the executive wing of the EU, and it's downgraded its growth forecast to just around 0.8% for this year. Now, as across much of the world, high inflation is a big factor here, hitting demand with consumers really being put off by high prices. Economic activity has been hit in a number of sectors because of those rising costs. High energy prices are particularly a big problem. Now, there isn't a whole lot of confidence that it's going to improve before the end of the year. Other factors that are hitting the European economy, a fall in manufacturing activity, ongoing trade turbulence with China, and that there is really caused by a combination of a slowdown within China and European countries reassessing economic ties with China itself. And what's really notable about these figures is just how far behind the US economy it puts the European economy. That's been the case since the pandemic began, and the problem seems to be getting stronger, in fact, for Europe since the pandemic ended.
And so the news is particularly bad for Europe's largest economy, Germany. Is Germany something of an outlier in Europe at the moment?
It really is. I mean, Germany is Europe's economic powerhouse, by a distance the biggest economy, but it's also the worst affected major economy going by this data. It's in recession, and forecasts say that it's going to contract by around 0.4% this year. And that's quite a big swing from the last estimate, which had Germany recording modest growth for the year. Now, Germany's story is in many ways similar to the European story. Sluggish consumer spending is hitting the economy. Germany is a nation of savers at the best of times, but high prices have really been putting people off this year. And it's something that I think people here are really feeling when they go into the shops, into the supermarkets for everyday items. There's a strong sense that value just isn't there for the consumer at the moment. And underpinning all this, as it is with Europe as a whole, are those high energy prices. Germany, of course, has other longer term economic problems which are sapping confidence. That ranges from a shortage of skilled workers to the ongoing energy transition away from Russian gas, bureaucratic overreach, problems with digital infrastructure, physical infrastructure. In many respects, the economic mood really is quite dark in what we must acknowledge is still the world's fourth largest economy.
And so what are the implications of a struggling Germany for the world economy?
Well, the first impact, of course, is Europe-wide. I mean, as I said before, Germany is the European economic engine. It's a trade superpower. It makes up around a third of the EU's total economic output. So if Germany's struggling, if it's to use that phrase that's been used before, the sick man of Europe, well, then of course it's going to have an impact on the European economy, and that then does have a knock-on effect for the global economy. But to see the overall impact on the globe is a little tricky. Obviously, when the European economy is not firing on all cylinders, that does have an impact on trade partnerships where there are particularly strong trade, for example, with China, but it's not the kind of global economic engine that the US economy is, for example. And it's also worth remembering that if Germany is struggling, that might provide an opportunity for some countries to come into its territory, namely in certain export fields, because soaring costs for German producers, particularly in industrial and high energy intensive industries, is presenting opportunities for rivals to take some of that business which German companies would previously have hoovered up.
OK, Arthur Sullivan there in Berlin. North Korean leader